Hi, I'm Clayton Allen from Maple Rapids Rejects, and I have with me today Brandon Mann, also from the Maple Rapids Rejects, and we're here to discuss with you coping skills.
Coping skills, that's a good thing to have for sure. Basically, if you could come up with a little list of something that keeps you grounded and keeps you from overthinking things and getting frustrated. Good coping skill would be meditation or hanging out with your friends or listening to music or something you can enjoy and calm down. Those are some good coping skills I use. Everybody's different. I'd imagine, you'll find something that'll work for you. Yeah, in case you don't know, I'm Brandon Mann, Clayton Allen. We're from the Maple Rapids Rejects. We're a band that's locally from here in Maple Rapids. Play a lot of original music, and we like playing some of our funky rock songs and getting wild with it, especially Josh. You've seen him on our videos, I'm sure.
So,
yeah, go ahead, man.
When it comes to the depression, the anxiety, and all the connections that you have between that and psychic abilities, there's a lot of really tough aspects of that. And like he's saying, that keeping yourself grounded is a good way to help keep your mind focused on getting through those situations.
Definitely can. Another good thing is if you're having any depression issues or anything, friends and family, hang around them, try to be positive. Hanging around with good people in general is definitely a healthy thing. If you're hanging around people that are generally negative and seem to always be negative, that can affect you in negative ways. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you can be around positive people, it'll definitely make your day that much better if you're around people that are good people.
And that ties into what I was saying in a previous video about the link between empaths and narcissists, where an empath will be completely drained by the narcissist and can actually start to pick up their traits.
Yep.
So, staying around the positive people, getting the negative people that are draining out of your life is a huge thing.
Definitely is.
For those of us that are empaths and psychics and all that, we're in many ways very spiritual beings, and the negative energy can and will draw from you and take everything that you have. So learning the good coping skills is one good way to get by. There is no easy fix, but practicing and learning these things will continue to help.
We as humans produce some sort of energy. I can't really say for sure what, but if you're around people that think similarly to you, a like energy will attract itself to other energies, people, spiritual energies if you want to call it. But if you ever get that feeling of deja vu that you're supposed to do something or meant to do something, you might want to try to address that and think about it more. Just even thinking about things that are on your mind, you could help manifest them in a good way or a bad way, depending on how you want to spin it. There's a book out there, it's called The Secret. They talk about similar things to that, where if you wish it and want it and think about it, you're going to be that much closer to obtaining it. And that's something to be mindful of.
It's true. We're constantly giving off energy, and the energy we give off, be it good or bad, is going to attract like energy. That's why simply just being positive can have a huge impact on dealing with the things you're dealing with in your daily life and coping with your abilities and coping with the depressions and anxieties. And for those people out there that suffer from other supposed mental illnesses, things like schizophrenia, it's not to say that people out there aren't crazy. There are definitely crazy people out there, but a lot of times what we're looking at is a missing diagnosis.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you're hearing voices, it's because you're hearing voices. Something's trying to communicate with you. That doesn't mean it's a good thing. I mean, you know right from wrong, you know. If something is talking to you and telling you to do something you know you shouldn't, then don't do it.
Yeah, for sure. Something like, for instance, hearing voices, that usually, if you mention that to anybody that's in the general public, they automatically jump to conclusions, good or bad. Usually bad, you know. Mental illness comes to mind. It's one of the first things that gets brought up. What am I trying to say here? Kind of losing my train of thought. But yeah, there is certain people that do pick up on certain energies and spirit waves and whatever you want to call it, that are more in tune to it. Kind of like an out-of-tune radio station you can get on the AM, where you could hear some faint this, that, or the other. A lot of people would assume it's a mental illness and maybe relates to schizophrenia, or that type of thing. There is a possibility that those people that are out there hearing that stuff are actually picking up on some spiritual energy of some sort. It's not always a one-size-fits-all. You can't just say, well, that person's crazy. Well, you know, isn't that kind of subjective? You know, if you're not in that person's shoes, you're going to have a harder time understanding. Kind of like if the shoe were on the other foot, you'd have a hard time walking around, right? But if you've never actually put the shoe on the other foot, you may never know that, you know, you're not supposed to do that. I mean, some things is painfully obvious as wearing the shoes on the wrong feet. Sometimes goes over people's head. Well, that's the same with, you know, people that may have psychic abilities or mental illness. It's kind of in a gray area, all swirled into one. The reason why I think it could be a mental health issue is if you are dealing with all this and your body doesn't know how to process it and your mind doesn't know how to process it, you can have panic attacks, anxiety attacks, and feel like something's wrong and you're just not sure how to handle it. So what do? You go seek help from a counselor or a peer, or do you just ignore it and continue on your day? I'm going to tell you this right now, ignoring it is not the best situation. Obviously, if you can get somebody, the positive support network that can maybe help you guide yourself through it, that's what I would recommend. Is, you know, it's almost easier saying something to somebody about your situation than leaving it bottled up forever. If you leave something bottled up too long, it could be disastrous. Nobody wants to mention, you know, if you're in a similar predicament like us, sometimes saying that you hear voices or that you feel energies, or something else altogether that you can't explain. Keeping that stuff bottled up can be dangerous. But then there's a catch-22. If you tell the wrong person and they panic and they think you're some kind of psycho or something, pineapple, that you know, basically it's kind of a gray area. You kind of got to approach it the best way you can. See how. Just even mentioning it to a loved one of what you're going through could be a game changer for the rest of your life and how the way you handle it. Keeping something that significant, whether you hear voices or you feel like there's something else going on with you mentally, because your brain doesn't always know how to process energies. You start second guessing yourself every step of the way. I know, I've done it from experience. 10, 11 years ago, I was diagnosed with a mental illness, and I actually went to seek help rather than just sit on it. And that's what I chose to do. And it's been a rocky road the last 10 years. But it was something I had to do, because if I didn't pursue help, whether it's from friends or peers, psychics, or whoever you want to talk to, if I didn't pursue the help when I did, I probably wouldn't be here now talking to you.
And if you do deal with these things, the whole psychic and all that, a lot of times is passed down. So you talk to a close family member, be it mother, father, whatever, they might be able to tell you, hey, I've dealt with that myself, and they just don't talk about it. And there's some people that even though they have, will still deny it, because that's not normal.
That's the one thing that I will bring up is anytime mental health is in question to anybody, it's followed by stigma. A stigma means something that's associated bad, like it's got bad associations to it. Unfortunately, man, it's 2018. We need to get over that. We need to get over that and start recognizing that, hey, if somebody needs a guiding hand, be there to help them or be there to listen to them. Let's say, for instance, you may not be dealing with anything we're talking about per se, but if you know somebody that's going through this, if you could be a helping hand or a listening hand, that might be the thing that saves that person's life.
And if you think I'm crazy, chances are you're probably not crazy. When a person's truly crazy, they don't know they're crazy. They think it's everybody else that's crazy. Well, you might feel like, hey, I'm crazy, I'm losing it, but you're probably dealing with something far beyond anything you've ever been taught.
And, you know, as far as higher power, God and spiritual energy, in my honest opinion and from my experiences, those are actual real things. A lot of people, you know, get hung up on that because of church politics or global politics on religion. But in reality, the best way that I can think of is you got to be mindful of other people's beliefs, and you can't force your belief on somebody else. But if you try to do good things, it'll come full circle, and it'll wind up being a bigger thing than you could possibly ever imagine, in a good way. So what you do and say can have a very big impact on another person's life, good or bad. If you could try to focus on the good things and the positive things, and spreading that message along, you know, you might just help save somebody's life.
We're Clayton Allen and Brandon Mann of Maple Rebels Rejects. I hope you have a great day.